Children of the 1900s of Reddit, what is something you learned in school that later became untrue, i.e., new information emerged, or science proved something different? The tongue map. I remember getting in trouble at school, because I told the teacher I could taste salt on every part of my tongue. Fuck you, Mrs. Edsall. Imagine giving people with opposing arguments detention in the name of education. Did you mean American education system? That left brain is all logic and right brain is all creativity. And it is not like that, oh. Short answer, nope. I'm not going to carry a calculator in my pocket everywhere I go. Cursive writing was pushed hard from 2nd grade on, but in high school, no one cared. I remember realizing one day that I could just stop using it. That was the last day I wrote in cursive. My handwriting morphed into a weird amalgam of cursive and block. Lucky, my handwriting just evolved into dog shit. Oh, you're a doctor? Pluto isn't a planet. You hear about Pluto? That's messed up. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You need 11 servings of grain each day. Shockingly, that was created by the grain industry. Ketchup can be purple. When in doubt, have a tonsillectomy. Wild generalization. But as a kid of the 1980s, every sore throat made me shit myself in terror at probably needing my tonsils removed. I never hear of this today. I did some recent googling on this subject while suffering from an upper respiratory infection, and it turns out that doctors once believed that the tonsils were useless, but have since discovered that they contribute to the immune system. Like the appendix. Wait, the appendix does something besides deciding it's going to burst and try to kill you one day. Yes, turns out it's like a backup drive for your intestines. Whenever its microbiome gets hurt, it reloads from the appendix. Except backup drives don't suddenly decide to burst and try to kill the primary computer. I remember classroom maps changing over from having East/West Germany and the USSR. I remember being told I was wrong during a geography quiz when I insisted that the Soviet Union didn't exist anymore. This was probably 1994. Wow, your teacher really didn't keep up with current events. I didn't learn this in school, but a lot of baby/young childcare techniques. Example, when my infant daughter had reflux, we were told it would help for her to sleep on an incline. We had her sleep in her car seat, in her crib. With the pediatrician's knowledge and okay, it was tremendously helpful. Evidently nowadays that is practically child abuse. Yeah, the rules for babies change all the time. The babies at my mom's daycare have to sleep a certain way, eat certain foods, etc. Nutritional guidelines. When I started elementary school it was the 4 food groups. By the time I got to high school it became the food pyramid. Once I graduated college it was my plate. Who knows what it'll morph into next. It's amazing that they absolutely cannot get their facts straight on how to eat. Humans have eaten for hundreds of thousands of years, and we are only now trying to screw it up. Riddle me that one. I grew up with the food pyramid, and I remember being perplexed with the sheer volume of food you're supposed to eat each day. My teachers even tried to justify it with stuff like it sounds like a lot, but actually 1 serving of grains is only as much of a slice of bread. Okay, that still means you're suggesting I eat practically an entire loaf of bread each day, on top of like 6 fruits, 7 vegetables, 3 pieces of meat, 3 cups of milk, 9 glasses of water, and oil is the devil. Me too, and thinking as a child, damn I better shovel it in. Gotta get my 12 slices of bread in today. Children of the 1900s sounds so fucking old. Back in my day. Children of the last century, children of the last millennium. Killer bees were eventually going to be all over the US. I haven't heard anything about them in decades. Judging from what I was told, quicksand, killer bees, and being on fire would be serious problems I'd have to face on a daily basis. That thing about glass being a really slow moving liquid and that's why old windows are thicker at the bottoms turned out to be not true, I think. Indeed. Before the plate glass process was invented they couldn't make panes that were an even thickness all the way across. So they put the thick end at the bottom of window frames, because that way it was less likely to fall out. Just occasionally you can find one that was installed upside down. I once had a science teacher try to teach us that the Great Flood was the reason that Pangaea broke apart. Why the fuck are people like that responsible for educating an entire generation? Chemistry is first taught with fixed electrons like a point in space, and you have to understand that before you can get into P chemical and consider electron density and probability. The farther I get into my chemistry education, the angrier I become about the lies I was fed and made practice in high school. They aren't really lies, they're models. You learn the simpler ones first, because that prepares you to learn the more complex and more realistic ones later. Komodo dragons and garter snakes are now known to be venomous. When I was a child, garter snakes were non-venomous and Komodo dragons were said to have a bacterial soup in their mouths that caused sepsis following a bite. We have since discovered that, while their mouths are indeed filthy, the Komodo dragon produces venom, and so do certain species of garter snake, though their venom is very mild and generally harmless to humans. Till it's garter snake, and not gardener snake. Your teacher next year will expect you to know this stuff. That never happened until senior year of college. Not so much untrue, but a weird omission. I'm Australian and the area I grew up in is mostly white. Yet there were once indigenous settlements in the area. We learned they used to be there but nothing on where these people went. It's quite strange. We are taught historically such and such people used to live here. Now they don't. The end. No mention of how the area become nearly entirely white with pretty much no indigenous people at all. Apparently they just randomly vanished. It's omitted from the curriculum what happened to our local people. It always weirds me out they're just gone. Similarly how Europeans came to the Americas and wiped out the Mayans. A point in US history that I learned more about on my own in college than I ever did in high school. Math teachers told us we wouldn't always have calculators in our pockets. Screw you Mr. Han. I have the entirety of human knowledge in my pocket. Is that the entirety of human knowledge in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? That bullshit about daddy longlegs being the most venomous spider. Also, in driver's ed, most accidents are caused by speeding. What they mean to say is that most accidents happen while speeding. It isn't necessarily the cause. It's just that most people are speeding all the time. It's not like, if everyone went the speed limit, that accident counts would more than half itself. You have zones for different tastes on your tongue. That our veins were blue, because blood is blue before it hits oxygen. In 11th grade anatomy and physiology, in 2011. Born in 95 so almost doesn't count. But I learned Brontosaurus was the wrong skull put on a Brachiosaurus. Nope. Turns out Brontosaurus was real. Just tacking on another dinosaur-related fallacy. We were taught that before the meteor that wiped out all the dinosaurs, they all lived together at the same time. There were even colorful drawings showing them all together. In reality, the T-Rex lived closer to our own time today than it did to a time when the Stegosaurus was around. This was further muddled by the movie released during my high school years called Jurassic Park, where the two main dinosaurs, Tyrannosaur and Velociraptor, are from the Cretaceous period. It really puts the 120k year history of humans in context to realize that Stegosaurus had been gone for more than 500x that long before a single T-Rex ever lived. If you crack your knuckles you'll get arthritis. I resent the way this question is phrased. That protons, electrons, and neutrons were the smallest you could break things up to, now quarks. If I play with myself it'll fall off. Acid rain would be the end of us. Most DNA is junk. I never believed it at the time, and now science has learned that just because a particular stretch of DNA does not code for a protein does not make it junk either, and that it is functional in other ways. That only smart, wise men who are true patriots and work hard can become president of the United States.